If you've ever been anywhere under 20 degrees with a Texan, on behalf of all of Texas, I'm sorry. You know, I never knew how bad it was until I went on a school trip to Chicago with a supervisor from Minnesota. Yeah, while me and my classmates were in 5 layers of clothing because it was 14 degrees outside and we thought we were facing sudden death, our supervisor was in jeans and a fleece jacket, acting as annoyed as he was entertained. But hey, in our defense, you can't blame us. I mean, we live in Texas, and Texas is hot. Or, you know, it's supposed to be. But lately, Texas weather has been more confusing than a Kardashian relationship. But Texas isn't alone. Climate change has been altering and intensifying weather conditions on the global scale, making it impossible for us to deny that it exists. But now that we can no longer deny its existence, we instead deny its urgency, meaning our current approach is dead wrong. But hopefully today, we can change that. First off, why can't we understand climate change for what it is? I mean, it's not that hard, is it? Apparently it is. The Harvard Business Review explains in an article written in 2018 that there are 2 key reasons we fail to understand climate change for what it is. The first, we view the issue as existential. It's a problem that's so widespread, with an impact so detrimental, that we can't fathom what it actually means. I mean, even with social media, we can't actually picture what the other half of the world lives like. Heck, we can barely even imagine another state. But the second reason why it's so easy for us to deny climate change for what it is because the problem isn't linear. Well, sort of. It does get worse as time goes on, but that change is incredibly gradual, making it hard for us to picture. It's kind of like the compound effect. If you take a penny and double it every day, it doesn't seem like a lot until it just is. The problem is, climate change acts in that same capacity, but we don't see that change day to day. So we don't think it's urgent until it finally affects us. And at that point, it's too late. In case you're wondering, it's already too late. The UN states that climate change will be fully irreversible by 2030. But think about it. If it becomes fully irreversible by 2030, then it means parts of it are already irreversible. But why does that matter? I mean, even if climate change is happening right now, isn't it just summer getting hotter and winter getting colder? No, it's actually a lot worse. Let me put it into perspective for you. A study published by the journal Nature Climate Change estimates that by the end of the century, climate change will have exposed around 280 million people into experiencing flooding. That same journal published a different study estimating that by the end of the century, climate change will have exposed 1.8 billion people to water scarcity. But you know what? A century is a long time. So let's think smaller. How about 7 years from now? The same amount of time it takes a child to reach the 1st grade. The World Bank estimates that by 2030, climate change will have caused 100 million people to be pushed into extreme poverty due to its ability to diminish food resources and spread diseases. Even worse, the World Health Organization estimates that climate change will cause around 250,000 deaths a year, every year, from 2030 to 2050. That's a little less than half of Wyoming's population, every year. But if 7 years is still too long for you to care, then how about right now? Where the country of Tuvalu is literally sinking, where tornadoes in the Midwest are so extreme that their infrastructure is failing, where Texas winter in 2020 was so cold that the power grid collapsed and 8 Texas citizens had their lives taken away from them. Climate change waits for no one, and you are not the exception. We can't wait till it affects us because we're already too late. But we can take steps today to change our approach. So let me help you be proactive. There are 3 key things you should consider in trying to change how you approach climate change. The first, even though climate change is really bad and inevitable, it doesn't mean we can't make it worse. We can. So don't stop caring. Still do your best to switch to renewables and implement sustainability in your daily life. We can not stop climate change, but we can prevent it from controlling our lives. But beyond that, we need to shift our approach in our conversations. Meaning, when you talk with people about climate change, don't treat it like an issue for 2040 or 2050, because it's not. It's an issue for today. If we change our conversations and advocacy to a more urgent timeline, we can urge our legislators to change the timeline of their legislation. That's what matters. Your voice is powerful. Use it. But outside of that, the biggest thing is that our focus needs to shift from awareness and prevention and instead towards acceptance and protection. Meaning, you don't know what the climate's gonna look like, no matter where you live. So prepare yourself for everything. Whether it be a landslide, a blizzard, a hurricane, make sure you and your family are well equipped for any climate-related situation, because you don't know what's coming your way. Protect yourselves. It's time we adapt. Ultimately, it's safe to say I'm probably gonna have to start getting used to the cold. But hey, that also means my coach has gotta start getting used to the heat. And it means you have to start getting used to whatever you're not used to. Because it's as the one and only Dolly Parton puts it. We can't change the direction of the wind, but we can adjust the sails. Thank you.